People miss old Apex a lot, and with rumours that Respawn are working on an Apex OG version, I thought it would be interesting to go look at stuff we've probably forgotten about old Apex. Starting off with the most obvious thing you'll probably notice if you watch any Apex gameplay from 2019. The visual clutter was absolutely ridiculous. Basically, every time you shot your gun in the early seasons of Apex, it will produce an insane amount of smoke and flash, which was really annoying to see through. Luckily, Respawn took the feedback to change this, because when you compare this to what we have today, it does look really annoying. Here's something that's guaranteed to give you nostalgia if you miss old Apex though. The old lobby. The old lobby was beautiful, it was simple, and the simple sight of this takes a lot of people back to when they first installed Apex and had no idea what was what. I mean, there was literally a point where none of us knew what the legends' names were. We had to learn them, which is weird to think about. Also, in the early days of Apex, some of the legends had their icons redone, which was definitely well needed, because as nostalgic as these icons are, I think I prefer the ones Respawn have today. Speaking of things Apex randomly updated, a lot of people don't know, but the Voidwalker skin wasn't actually originally called Voidwalker. No. When it first released, literally for the first day it was out, it was called Ghost Wraith. And then, randomly, without announcement, Respawn changed the name to Voidwalker, which confused a lot of people, but this is so long ago and so niche, I would say 99% of people don't even remember this. And I'm fairly sure that's the only time Respawn have changed a skin name with no reason. Of course they changed this skin's name back in the day, but that was because of drama. One meme though that sprung up quickly in the Apex community was the Mozambique, which is a shame because this meme has kind of died down these days, but the Mozambique was originally a meme because it was so weak and useless, and players absolutely hated this weapon. And I cannot stress, people hated this gun so bad, Respawn actually added an Easter egg animation in the game to reference how bad people hated the gun, as in the early days of Apex, if you switched out the Mozambique for another gun, your character wouldn't just drop the Mozambique. No, they would throw it at the ground with full force. I don't know why Respawn removed this animation because it was quite funny, but it's kind of sad to see the Mozambique here meme has kind of died off. Another animation that Respawn removed was the OK sign. This was a really rare animation for Wraith that she would get when coming out of her phase, but I cannot stress, this animation was insanely rare, to the point where a few people suspect it to be 1 in a million. Unfortunately though, Respawn removed this animation in the earlier days of Apex. And some of you may not be aware, but this animation is actually a reference to this animation from Titanfall 2 in the time travel mission. I really wish there were more rare animations like this, because the only rare animations we really get these days are attached to heirlooms. Although you're not an OG player if you don't remember this, because very, very early in Apex's life, the ultimate accelerant used to have a different appearance when you would hover over it. Instead of looking like this, it looks like this, and it makes sense why Respawn changed the icon, because this looks nothing like the actual ultimate accelerant. Although it makes me wonder if Respawn originally planned for the ultimate accelerant to be kind of like a shield battery that you pull up before they redesigned it to be a little iPad thing. Although the early days of Apex weren't all perfect, there were plenty, and I mean plenty of issues. For example, the loot on Kings Canyon when it first came out was genuinely atrocious. It was that bad, it spawned a several-minute clip of a streamer running around Kings Canyon trying to find a simple gun, and they literally couldn't find a gun. It got that bad that they rage quit. And a lot of people do say E-District doesn't have the best loot, but honestly, it will never be as bad as Apex when it originally came out. Also, here's a weird thing about old Apex that many of you probably don't remember, and it's the fact that the dropship used to go 50% slower than it does now. If you watch a lot of old gameplay, you will start to notice this, and Respawn eventually sped it up, which I think was for the better, because now people hit the ground at a similar time. Although Apex devs still don't really like how the dropship works, and lately they have been innovating, trying to make new ways for people to spawn into the match. But these new ways have kind of come to a mixed reception, so we'll have to see how that one goes. Going back to Apex's old lobby though, there were a few oddities with it. First of all, when Apex first released, it didn't have duos. A lot of people don't remember this, but Apex actually got duos in Season 2. Also, there was a tab called Armory at the top, which has now been replaced with loadouts, and also the in-game store looked pretty different. This was kind of before Apex really figured out how it wanted to sell skins, and before it invented collection events. By the way, a lot of you new players who started playing after Season 10 definitely don't know this, but Evo Shields weren't always in the game. Evo Shields were only invented during the Season 4 collection event, so before that point, Evo Shields weren't real. You just had to pick up a good shield off the ground. Honestly though, the invention and evolution of Evo Shields has been absolutely huge in Apex. I think we can all confidently say, after having them for a while, the perk system being attached to the Evo Shield system is genuinely genius, and it gives people a lot more reason to go out and fight. fight. Apex has improved a lot, but it is also very confusing now. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to remember every single Legends perk. I can never be prepared anymore. One thing a lot of people want to bring back is Mirage's old ultimate, because he's a legend who got a rework before reworks were cool. As if you used his old ultimate, first of all, the decoys that came out of you wouldn't actually mimic you. They would just spread out, so this fooled absolutely nobody after the first 2 days of Apex. And also, after Mirage ulted, he was temporarily fully invisible. And not invisible in the way that he is these days, where he turns invisible for like 1 second. No, he will be invisible for several seconds, and it would allow him to relocate to a new area, which was cool, but Mirage's new ultimate is way better. Believe it or not, players actually got to beta test Mirage's new ultimate before it was released, as Mirage's new ultimate was first unveiled in an LTM called Dummies Big Day, where the ultimate was used on one of the dummies and it was called Emergency Dance Party. And when people liked it so much and said it would be a cool Mirage ultimate, it was eventually given to Mirage. Dummies Big Day is something people really miss in the history of Apex, because basically it was just a mode where you played a faceless dummy and got abilities randomly assigned to you. And the dummy's abilities were brand new unique abilities like Area of Effect healing, spawning healing items, emergency dance party, and many more. There have been rumours recently that Respawn is bringing back Dummies Big Day, but as with all rumours, we'll have to wait and see. One thing though I think we're going to be waiting for ages is Apex adding back the select fire to the Havoc, because yes, believe it or not, there used to be a second firing mode on the Havoc and it was single fire. The Havoc single fire mode basically turned it into a sniper where you shot a laser beam that would instantly hit scan damage anybody it hit. Unfortunately though, when Respawn took the select fire hop up off the ground, it also took select fire away from the Havoc, and we haven't had it since. And this has been almost 4 years now, although 2 years ago there was a glitch to put select fire on the Havoc in the firing range, but it only lasted for a few weeks until Respawn eventually patched it, so they clearly want to erase its history. One thing that a lot of new players may not realise is that these dinosaurs on the edge of Kings Canyon were actually once part of the Kings Canyon map, and they were that big of a part of it, they could actually kill you, as there were certain areas in the map where the dinosaurs would lift their leg up for a few seconds and then drop their leg, basically creating a death trap for any player who decided to stand in this area, as it was only a matter of time until they got crushed. This season though, in Season 22, we got plenty of Battle Pass changes, but Apex's old Battle Pass is much weirder and much worse, because when the first Battle Pass came out, a lot of people hated it. First of all, apparently the skins were really bad, but second of all, they had an extremely dumb system where badge level ups were rewards for hitting certain tiers, taking up space that could be used by actual rewards. Luckily, Respawn cut this out and removed it in the Season 2 Battle Pass. And you may remember at the start of the video, I was talking about Respawn potentially adding an OG mode to the game, which would give us OG weapon stats, basically temporarily reverting the game's meta to Season 1 and 0. And if this does happen, make sure to pick up the Wingman, because the Wingman in Apex used to be a machine. It was the only weapon high skill players used to use, because if you could aim, you could dominate lobbies, and I mean like 30 kills. So that's my wisdom. What do you think of OG Apex, and would you like it to return as a mode?